Okay, so in the last video we took care of the footer all the way down at the bottom and made sure structurally it was sound. It looks nothing like what it looks like in the preview mock-up, but we are going to get there. And now comes the time, which is my favorite part. Once structurally everything is set up, we can now start cleaning things up and making it look really, really cool. Start feeling a lot like a real web page. So what I usually do at this point is try to evaluate, are these helper containers still helping me, or are they now clutter that's preventing me from seeing the finals as they are? I still feel there's some images we can insert here, some text to make things a bit more structured before we completely remove them. And if I'm not sure where we are, what I could do is come up here to my style sheet and find, these helper styles, as I call them, and I'm just going to select them. And by pressing Control question mark, I can turn off that whole block of CSS, and we'll see what it would look like without it. Let's see. Oof. Yeah. So we still need, I mean, it works. Things are still where they're supposed to be, the layout and everything, but it's still hard to see with all the spacing and padding. Now, this is the kind of stuff we're going to be doing on an individual basis. Like once the images are in, things start coming together a bit nicely anyway, but you can see how these extra paddings and margins and borders help us visualize our screen and our page setup a bit better until we get everything we need in there. So I'm going to turn this back on for now by uncommenting it. And you see right away we can visualize our screen structure a lot more easily. So this leaves me with, do I start working on little details like, oh, I'm going to work on the navigation and get the navigation looking super slick like in the mock-up? Or should I worry about better integration of content and accounting for everything? I'm going to go with number two because this is a detail. Even if I save my work now, I still have like a functioning web, navigation bar. But if I spend all my time there and have nothing in these areas, it looks kind of bad as far as web pages go. You'd rather have ugly content than no content, but a super slick navigation bar. You know what I'm saying? So let's focus on getting priorities right here and getting our images where they need to be. So I'm going to go back into my source code, and this should go fast because there's a lot of, again, copy pastes action happening. So I'm going to find the first image in the project card and go to insert image. You can always type out IMG, the actual tag. It's the same exact thing. In which maybe it'd be better to type it out, but let's see what happens. So this is under projects, and I'm really not going to bother, what order and stuff they're in. I'm just going to choose project one. Okay. All right, so boom, it slaps it in there. Now this is the disadvantage of using insert image with Dreamweaver. It automatically adds a fixed width and a fixed height to your image, which can be a little annoying because we want these images to be fluid. We want them to be, dynamically resizable based on our page size. So I'm going to remove the value here. But what I am going to do after the image tag is add a class called image fluid. Now we see that it scales down to fall in line with the other containers in that row. And I'm going to remove the placeholder text also because nobody needs that. There we go. And you can, organize your code in such a way to make it a bit easier to read. And what am I doing here? There we go. Okay. Right on. So again, you have the option of copying and pasting this to replace the other placeholders, and then going in and swapping out the actual images, which might be a bit easier. There we go. So now project 1, and we saw in the folders, if we look at the file names, projects 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, very convenient. So we can now go to project and just rename this project 2. Beautiful. 3. Oh, these are breaking. Project dash 3. That's what it. Project dash. There we go. Very nice. Dash 4. And dash 5. Got it. Great. So we got those in there. But like the preview mentions, it'd be nice maybe if we could break them off into a grid. Now, the way these are shaped, these images, oh, what happened there? Ooh. We got the images, but we lost the div tag around them. They don't look bad though, that's the thing. Maybe we could leave it that way. One less tag to worry about. Let's try, see what happens. I'll erase the div on the first one. Maybe we don't need it. Okay, let's try that again. All right, that's weird. Okay, well, let's look at our project's grid. See what's happening there. Projects grid. Yeah, no, these are space between. That's perfect. What if we had a gap of 16px? There we go. Now we're talking. So I want these arranged in a grid of 2 rows. So I think I'm going to have to activate some other type of business here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to wrap these and I'm going to group them together. Let's see if this works. I wrap them in a div. Okay. And I'm going to name this div class project group. And now we see that they're grouped together. And I'm going to add that here. Project group display flex wrap is yes. And then I'm going to say, did we give these a class? Project card, yes, we did. Project group. So project card, we are going to say flex basis 50%. That didn't work. 40%? 30%. The reason why it's not working, even though we're trying to get two side by side, is the extra paddings and margins in the containers are adding a lot of overhead. So it's preventing two projects from lining up in the same row. Hey, this is getting weird. Flex basis 10%. That doesn't make even sense. What? Okay, so this is what ends up happening. So 10% obviously too small. Let's go back up to 20. All right, now it's working. 30, 40. Okay, now we get two per row. And what we can also then say is flex grow 1, so that whatever space is left over, it stretches out to fill it. So we don't really care if it's exactly 50% to fit two on one line, 50% each. We can make them smaller to ensure we get at least two per line, and then whatever space is left over, for example, like this, I'm not going to sit there getting the exact value because my window might be bigger later. It might not fit. It might be there like this. So this value changes, but if I have flex grow 1, whatever that extra space ends up being, these will grow to fit it. And now I have this guy over here, unaffiliated, project card. Maybe we need to give this its own unique name so that we can attempt this kind of layout. So I got this grouping over here now, but this one needs a bit more width, and maybe the height of the image might not be appropriate for this, but let's give it a try, see what happens. So this is project card. All right, this is the closing tag for the first group, and we'll call this project card featured because it's the big image in that grouping. So we'll call this project card featured. We'll create the style for it under there. There it is. And what we want to say here is min width. This should have a minimum width of 1/3 of the total container that it's in. So minimum width 33% of whatever container that it's in. So now, if there's 3 columns, they're all going to be evenly sized because we have the true on the left-hand grouping that are clustered together. And then we have the featured one, the little unaffiliated standalone, who's also taking up 1/3 of the entire row. And that way, what we can do now is expand that one downward, and it doesn't interfere with this grouping over here. So it's a long way around. And let's see if that even works. So we can now say project card featured, and now we want to target the image. Just see if that works, just for kicks. We might have to change the image. So project card featured, specifically the image in that container, we want that to be height, let's say 400 px. Okay, look at that. It kind of works. It kind of works. Or we can say display flex. And flex direction column because that text went off to the right there. Beautiful. And now instead of using this hard-coded value, what we can say is align items stretch. Will it work? No. What if we say align content? Oh, I know why this isn't working. It's because we have a fluid class on this. Let's see if we remove it. Anyway, this is the kind of thing where I'm telling you, if it's not working the first couple of times you try it, okay, this needs more work. We're not going to worry about it now. Structurally, the integrity is there. We know it can work. I mean, we can just hard code it and just say, height 500 px. There it is. And for now, it'll be fine. Well, I'm not going to spend more time on this. Time to move on. Keep moving forward. That's the trick here. What else we got? We got the 6 reasons. Here we need some icons. And we also need some placeholder text. Here we need an image placeholder and a video player. Okay, let's finish up with the team here and get the portraits in there. So again, we're working with getting the images where we need them to be. So start with img source equals, and we're going to browse to portraits, portrait 1. And again, we have to remember to add class image fluid here so that it stretches and grows as needed. I'm going to copy and paste this below. A few more times. There, and there. This way I can see right away if there are going to be any structural problems. And if not, I could just go ahead and rename the files listed portrait 4. Bingo. Nice. Okay. So that's falling into place. That's done. We have the footer to deal with, and this one's fairly straightforward as well, believe it or not. We are now going to go to the footer, and we're going to start with the top block over here. The top block, if we look at it, it has background image. We can tell because the text is above it. And this one is just a plain dark gray. Perfect. So let's get that done. So footer top block, styles.css, footer grid, footer top block. Beautiful. Here we go. Background image. And the URL is in our images folder, footer world map. Bingo. Oh, it should have shown by now. And we'll also say background size is cover because we want it to take over the whole background. Why isn't that showing? Sometimes Dreamweaver glitches out, and it looks like one of those times. So technically this should work. Let's change the background color while we're at it here to a dark gray. Okay, oh well, look at that. Now it worked. Good for us. Lucky us. So we got the background happening here. Footer bottom block as well. We're going to choose, we're just going to copy the background color. This one has no image. Okay, don't worry about the spacing. This is the stuff we're going to remove later on. But it seems to me it needs to be a bit darker. Or do we need to change the background color here? Oh, I know why. It's because it's a transparent image. Could that be it? Could be. Again, not to worry for now. However, we're facing another challenge. The black text on a dark background is going to be a problem. So for this, we're going to need to change something. And in the class of footer, what if we just say color white? Look at that. So obviously it cascades downwards, hence cascading style sheets to target all the content in the area here in the footer tag. So nothing I like more than clean solutions. Well, we have one last section here to add images to, and then we can save and do one last video where we do the fine tuning and cleanup and get to disable the extra helper lines and padding. So this one here, this is back in the video section. Video. There, this is video full size. I don't like the look of that. Let's go back and see. Images, yeah, video full size. Poster. Why isn't it showing the full text here? Never mind. Same thing we did for the footer. We're going to replace it with a background image in our style sheet. Video, here we are. Full size poster. So background image. Technically, we can actually put an image in the container. I wonder if that's a better idea. Let's do that. Let's do that instead. So the image placeholder, we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to insert a proper image. Class fluid. There. And source is in our images folder. Video sunset. Lovely. So we got that in there. And now while we're here, we might as well go grab a YouTube video. So we have to find a video to put in here, and what better video than 30 minutes of the world's cutest puppies. So the way we do this is we find a video we like, much like this one. You can right click on it and then copy the video URL. But what we want to do is embed it within our page. So we're going to copy the embed code. And that way, when we go back here and click on video player, that's our placeholder for the video player. Delete and replace with the embed code we just copied from YouTube, which will definitely break our page. And don't worry about the unavailable message. So by default, YouTube will just place, like a big value in here. So what we want to do is trim this down to a more manageable width. I wonder if percentages work. 50%. And height, I'm going to put auto. Let's see if that works. It did not, did it? That didn't work so well. So let's put a hard-coded value of like 420 px. And height, let's just remove the height altogether. Did that work? My God, very temperamental. This one we might have to do an actual preview because it's a video player, and I don't think Dreamweaver will support playback in it. But let's try 4x300. And I think the PX is what's throwing it off. So it is resizing. It's just not showing the video. So that's promising. So to preview, just click this little preview icon down here in the bottom right corner and choose your browser of choice to view it in. Say yes to saving the files. And here's a preview in the browser. And yes, video is fine. Fine, don't worry about the unavailable. And we have the scaling of the images. Nice. Very nice. And you saw the header. As we resize and scale, it adapts. Okay, so we got a video in there, this, that. Here's our footer. Last thing left are the icons. So let's go tackle that. So the question now comes, how do we add icons to this page to fill in the little blocks that we have over here? I won't get into too much detail right now for this particular session. I will have a separate video on how to deal with icons later on, or different instructions that are more clear. But basically what we're going to do is going to install Font Awesome icons onto our page. And basically you can insert a line of code much the same way we would Google Fonts into our HTML. And it creates a link to the Font Awesome library, and usage involves just assigning a class to a specific container, and then it converts it into an icon. It's kind of wild to see it work, but let's start by adding in to our head of the document the link that we need, which I retrieved from the Font Awesome website. So here it is, Font Awesome all in one. So version 7 is the latest one, and now we're going to activate some other things to make sure it works, and then we can test it out. Okay, so how we get these into our page now that we've created the link is by using a special tag. Now, once upon a time, this tag used to be reserved for italics and italicizing text, but the I tag became obsolete for that use, and now the I tag is used for icons. So you can say I, okay, to trigger the icon, and you add a class name, and the name of the icon, right? So you say I, and then you class equals fa-solid. And what that triggers is your connection to the icon library through your page to target the Font Awesome Solid library because they have outlines, they have colored. The free ones, I think the free ones is the solid library. And then you add an additional class next to it for the specific icon from that library that you want to use. In this case, FA user. Now, how do you know what the name of the class is? Well, guess what? You probably need to refer to Font Awesome for that, which we'll do just now. Hold on a second. So you basically go to fontawesome.com/icons, or click the link right there, and do a search and say, okay, I want a placeholder icon. Let's see, give me something, computer. Let's see, and we should see some icons pop up. Okay, now be careful because a lot of these are paid icons. You need to have like an account with them, but there's the free stuff as well. So just filter by free. And because we're using the FA solid library, you might also want to filter by solid. That way you don't waste your time with icons that are not going to be available. And here's one I like, the robot. You click here and it will tell you exactly the class you need to use in your HTML. And all you have to do is just click on it. It'll copy the code, come back to where you want to use it, and paste it in. Bingo. Hey, look at that. You got a robot code. So it's fairly easy to use. And if you want to have even more fun, you can even specify a different size. So you can say FA-2XL. So larger size. There you go. Or maybe we can go with 4XL. Let's see. Can we go that high? There is no 4XL. Sorry. 3XL. Maybe 2XL is the highest it'll go, but you can always create a special class targeting your icon in here to make it larger in size. And that's it. I mean, you just basically grab this code and everywhere here in your section, you just swap it out. Icon, paste, paste, one last one, whoops, and you're good to go. And now you just have to change the name of the icon in your code. So instead of FA robot, you can choose FA desktop. That's good enough for me. So FA robot, that becomes FA desktop. Nice. And we have window-restore. I mean, you could choose something else. You can choose puppy. Let's see if puppies are to go with the theme. There you go, dog. Copy that. Come back here and swap out the, there you go, add a dog. Don't forget to add the size, FA to XL. You get the drift, right? And where it has the placeholder text, basically you would just swap it out with some placeholder text. So there, and just a bit of extra text to give it something to work with. There we go. And that's it. You just kind of, start styling slowly all the little elements. And that's it. You just work your way through. Just going to replace all this placeholder text. Probably do a search and replace, but it's just a few clicks. Ooh, careful not to screw up your code like I did. One last one. There you go. Now you can further, extend and modify this, but right now this is looking pretty sharp. Well, I'm going to do one last little test here, removing the helper CSS at the top, and we'll see what that looks like. Not so bad, not so bad. Only a few little things we need to do. One of them is fix up the page wrapper. There it is. So put a max width of, let's say, 960px. That'll shrink everything down and make it manageable. There it is. And we can also make sure it's centered by saying margin left. Was it top right, bottom left? Top 0, left auto. That's it. That should do it. There you go. So now we have our page centered. And now you can target, specific areas to clean up with spacing, with padding, with more content, etc. But overall, everything seems to be accounted for here. This is why I used a background image for this section rather than just a placed image, because a background image would cover the entire square here, whereas a placed image just shows the plain image. We can't really resize it properly unless it's scaled. So you end up with this weird gap. So I'm going to change that to a background image in my styles. But first I got to tackle in my source code. Where is it? Yeah, so I'm going to just say, placeholder image for my content, but in my video full-size poster, I'm going to find, whoops, I passed it, video. I'm going to say, yeah, background image, and browse to, where is it, video, sunset. Now you'll see what it does if I also change the background size. To cover. And if we go back, there it is. So whatever height this column becomes, this image will always scale and stretch to make sure that it covers it. And you could put other text on top. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And yeah, that's it. So I don't know what you guys would do next, but for me, the last thing I would go ahead and do is start cleaning up text, making this bigger and bold, adding gap to make sure there's a bit of space here, a bit of margin, a bit of padding between the sections so that everything doesn't feel crammed. You could change the background colors to make this thing pop a little bit. Let's try that. Let's go to body, change that to background color, and let's make that a nice dark gray. now we also have to make the we also have to make the page container, the page wrapper. Where is it? Page wrapper. Right, so background color white. Okay, so right out of the gate we can see where some of our problems lie for padding. I would say our sections need a bit of padding. Pretty much everything inside our page wrapper. Maybe, maybe not. Again, we'll see what we could do there. Some sections more than others, right? So the project section. Section projects. Here we can say padding 32px. Boom, everything kind of pushes inward nicely and you have some space all around. The next one would be here. Again, padding 32px. And now we don't have our content smashed into the side of the page over here. Here I'm kind of torn because this looks pretty good right up to the edge with that full-size image, but the text here doesn't look so great. So in the video section, maybe we want to just say padding right 32 pixels and leave the image on the left as is. I don't know. You're the creative, you decide. The team definitely needs some padding here. 32px, there we go. And this one already has some because of the logos, but I would add some in addition to anyway, because you never know. There you go. So that pushes in a little bit. And the footer, we want it to go edge to edge, so we don't touch it. Same thing with the header. We want that to go edge to edge. But we can tackle individual elements inside here, like the logo. So find the logo and say, for example, oops, that's not it. And the logo is here. Say padding, I don't know, let's say 24px. Bingo. And while we're at it, we should change the font size to something more substantial, maybe size 36. Nice. And if we want to add font weight, let's see if we go higher. Nice. So we chunked up the logo a little bit. Here for the navigation, we can have some fun, but we'll dedicate some extra time just to the navigation. So don't worry about that. Just go and clean up whatever areas, like look at the icon out of alignment with the container here. That's just driving me insane. So how do we do this? What do we fix? First of all, I need to know where is this extra space coming from. And I go back to View, Inspect, and then I hover over here and try to figure out, okay, what's the action here? What's going on? Got this, got that container. Like, why is this happening? Hard to say. Well, first of all, I'm going to add some extra space between these containers because they look a little tight. and then I'll look at maybe the way the flex attribute is assigned to this is not doing so well. So that's in the 6 reasons. The grid, let's add a gap, 24px. Oh no, that doesn't work. Need to bring this down to 40. And then flex grow. So the same thing we did before, bring it down to 40%, so we don't have to worry about margins and padding. And then with the flex grow 1, it splits the difference anyway. And then the grid itself is flex, and we want to align content, flex start. Did that work? That did not work. Is it aligned items? So when you're facing problems like this, and you can't figure out where is this extra spacing coming from, usually what I do is I add a border. So I'll just say border 1 pixel solid red. And now I can see what's happening. So these are things we can fix as we go along. For now, I'm going to pause this video and make a list of things I need to fix, and we'll do one last video tackling all of them, and hopefully it won't take too long. Thanks.